Joshua 9:11 says, "Wherefore our elders and all the inhabitants of our country spake to us, saying, Take victuals with you for the journey, and go to meet them, and say unto them, Where are your servants? We are your servants. Therefore now make a league with us. This our bread took we hot for our provision out of our houses, on the day we came forth to go unto you. But now, behold, it is dry and it is moldy. And these bottles of wine which we filled were new, and behold, they be rent. These our garments and our shoes are become old by reason of very long journey." Verse 14, which we're going to key in on tonight. "And the men took of their victuals, and asked not counsel at the mouth of the Lord." Now, this happens to us many times. We go through the day without praying. And it's a tragedy. We don't see it maybe like they saw it, but there could have been things that could have been avoided if you would pray. And I wanted to show you tonight how many times one of the godliest men in the Bible was known for this. All right? Chris, if you would, 1 Samuel 30 and verse 8. 1 Samuel 30 and verse 8. All right, David inquired of the Lord. David is really known for this. David inquired of the Lord. Look what he said. "Shall I pursue after this troop?" That's one thing. Then he said, "Shall I overtake them?" That's two. God answered him, "Pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them." That's the first thing he asked. "And without fail, recover all." All right? One of the things that you got to realize is when you inquire of God, God expects you to be very specific. Ask God for specific things, then you'll be able to see this. Right? I've been asking God so that we could close our property off here. And God came through in a great way. Chris had a hookup, and Lewis was willing to drive, and just all worked out that we could get this stuff and get it so that we really didn't have to spend that much money. And you know what? I pray specifically. I expect to see God do specific things. He inquired of the Lord, and God came through. Lewis, if you would, 1 Samuel 23:1. All right, so there was a problem with the Philistines, and they were stealing everything they had at the threshing floor, which is with the harvest. All right, go ahead, keep on reading, Lewis. Verse 2. All right, look at, again, he was specific. When he inquired of God, he's very specific. He said, "Shall I go do this?" And God said, "Yes, you shall." All right, if you would, verse 3. Go ahead, Lewis. So look at verse 4. What did David do? Go ahead. Right? David's specific. He knows their needs. He knows their fears. And he tells God that. And God answers him in a great way. David inquiring of the Lord, inquiring of the Lord, inquiring of the Lord. Dave, if you would, go to 2 Samuel 2, verse 1. Okay. Do you see how David's doing this? David's very specific. And then David says, "Where should I go?" And God answers him right back, "Keep on." Now, in your life, you see David, he's praying about everything. He's inquiring of the Lord about everything. And then he gets specific about it. He's like, Lord, I want to see this. I want to see this. I want to see this. And then God answers him. He says, okay, now I want to see this. And God answers him that way again. 2 Samuel 5:19, if you would, Jeremy. Very specific. David did that in chapter 2 with the Philistines. David's doing it again here. Look, if you would, verse 23. Jeremy, keep on reading. Okay, look at that. God even told him how to do it. Look, if you're going to inquire of the Lord about everything, you're going to start seeing God answer you in very specific ways. Right? If you would, Linda, next verse. Right? He said, David, don't do anything until you hear the sound of a going. Right? Then you'll know that I'm with you and that you'll be able to overcome and take them. Right? Christine, if you would, 2 Samuel 21:1. Okay, we were reading about the Gibeonites in chapter 9. Right? Now, did they make a promise for the Gibeonites? And Saul, what did Saul do? He killed them. God said, no, that we made a peace. We made an agreement. Because Saul did that, it was trouble for him. He didn't inquire of the Lord. When you study David's life, you see David inquired of the Lord about every little thing. And when David didn't inquire about the Lord, he got in trouble. And David's life shows us this in a great way, and God's very specific. And it gets me sometimes like, Lord, out of all the men who heard you answer him back real quick, why wouldn't David just keep on doing that? You know, it's one thing to build a habit of prayer, but once you built it, stay with it. David, he had a great habit of praying and asking about everything. And then when he broke it, it was his own trouble. 1 Chronicles 10:13. So Saul died for his transgression which he committed against the Lord, even against the word of the Lord, which he kept not, and also for asking counsel of one that had a familiar spirit to inquire of it. Saul didn't inquire of anything from God. And then when he did, his heart was so hard and God wouldn't answer him. And so he consulted, he inquired at the hand of the familiar spirits. Look, if you would, 1 Chronicles 10:14. And inquire not of the Lord, therefore he slew him and turned the kingdom unto David the son of Jesse. And inquired not of the Lord. You know, Saul said, okay, I can't inquire of God, I'll go to this familiar spirit. Instead of repenting, he went the wrong way. 1 Chronicles 13:3, Chris, if you would. This is David speaking. He said, let's get the ark and let's inquire of it. David wanted to always know what God thought about what he was doing. And that should challenge us. Look at, if you would, give thanks to the Lord, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the people. So call upon his name, God will answer, and then let everybody know about it. Sing unto him, sing psalms unto him, talk ye of his wondrous works. Talk about what God's answered you in. Glory ye in his holy name. Let the heart of them rejoice that seek the Lord. See, seek the Lord and your heart will rejoice. Seek the Lord and his strength, seek his face continually. And so one of the things I wanted to share with you tonight is we should inquire of the Lord about everything we can. God desires that. We know pray without ceasing and everything give thanks. But my friend, I'm going to tell you this. God desires you to just keep in that fellowship with him and like, Lord, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Lord, should I go here? Should I not go here? Look, if you would, Proverbs 28:5. Lewis? When you seek God and inquire of him, what's the Bible say here? Now, you know, many times God's just going to change your heart like, hey, it's okay. And you'll be all right with it. You can be like, okay, I got this. You know? They that seek the Lord understand all things. Dave, if you would, Proverbs 28:9. Okay, when you don't listen to God through the word, what does he think about your prayers? God says, you don't want to listen to me? I won't listen to you. When I'm knocking on doors and somebody says, I don't read, but I pray a lot. I say, no, you don't. They're like, what? I said, you don't. Because God will turn away his ear. God says, I will listen to you if you listen to me. When we think about they didn't inquire of the Lord, they didn't look into the word, and they didn't pray about it. And God desires that you would do both. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, you know what Jesus says? Ask what you will. It'll be done. That's John 15. You see, prayer and the word of God always go together. Look, if you would, Jeremy, Proverbs 28:26. Oh, here she is. Coming in on the crutches. All right. All right. Proverbs, if you would, let's go to Proverbs 28:26. 28:26. When you walk wisely is when you stay in the word and you stay in prayer. You can inquire of the Lord both ways, by praying and by reading. And that's what God desires, that you would be in the word and in prayer. David was a man after God's own heart. And when, you know what, David, when he moved the ark, do you remember that? And Uzzah touched the ark and it killed him. It was 3 months before they moved it again. You know why? David searched it out. What do you say about moving the ark? Oh, here it is. When David found out, he's like, this is the way we're doing it. David was a man of the word and a man of prayer. And, you know, when Joshua, they didn't seek counsel of the Lord. It was right in the word and it was right in prayer. They should have done that. Look, if you would, Proverbs 16:3. This is a good verse for each one of us. All right? Commit your works unto the Lord. And what's the promise? You commit your work to God and your thoughts will be established. Look, I ran crews. We're doing bridge work. We're doing railroads. We're doing sewer lines. We're doing a lot of stuff. Sometimes I came to something and I was like, I don't know what we're going to do. And I was like, just hold on. I was like, Lord, I commit this work to you. You said you would establish my thoughts. I've seen this work 1,000 times, this verse. Like, we would have an emergency. I would show up, and inspectors would be looking like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to pray. Lord, we commit this work to establish my thoughts. I was like, we got to go over there. Let's start there. We'll get there. Oh, it's amazing how many times God did this. One of the churches we had, it was built in the 1800s. It was built in 1863. Didn't have air conditioning. Only had these little tiny stained glass windows on the side. Yeah, they get hot. In Jersey, it got hot. So we saved enough money, we got an air conditioner. We had this guy, that's what he did for a living. His name was Joel. So he ordered this big air conditioning unit. Pretty cool. So he's putting it in. I'm watching him. It wouldn't work. Wouldn't work. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, Lord, we commit this to you. Establish our thoughts. I was like, hey, Joel. He's like, yeah. I was like, I feel like the Lord's telling me the problem's right here in this air duct. That's what Joel said to me. Edward, is air a solid? I was like, I don't know. Is air a solid? He's like, yeah, air's a solid. You don't know anything. That's what he said. He was mad. He was mad. I was like, I don't know. I said, but I feel like I'm praying, and I feel like the Lord's telling me it's that duck right there. Joel's like, I do this for a living. Another hour goes by. I'm sitting there watching him. I'm praying. He's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm praying. I said, Joel, you're getting madder and madder. He was one of our elders too. Got mad. And so he calls up the place and he's talking to him. He's like going through. And they're like, well, check the ductwork. He looks at me. He was mad. And so he's going through, and all of a sudden, he looked at me. He's like, I'm changing this. I was like, great, thank you. He took it out, put something else in. It worked perfectly. He's like, how did you know that? You don't even know if air's a solid. I was like, well, now I do. But I said, Joel, I committed it to God. And God told me this is the problem. Joel, he's like, Edward, I'm going to do this from now on. Proverbs 16:3. Commit your work to the Lord, your thoughts will be established. I can't tell you how many times in my life I've used that verse, but God always comes through. I don't know what to do. Lord, I commit this to you. Establish my thoughts. That's what you promise. I'm going to tell you this. In situations you don't even know how to respond, God's going to give you the answer. Proverbs 16:3. Proverbs 15:8. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is his what? God delights when you pray. God delights. God's never like, oh, now what? Never. Never. God is exactly this way. Last night before we got those telephone poles, I went over to my prayer list and I looked down. I was like, Lord, I prayed for a fence for this place for a long time. I was like, and you know what's next to it? Free. Lewis paid for the gas, but you know what? It was free. See, I'll tell you what, it's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. Like, Lord, you came through. You came through. I just keep on waiting for that. It's like, Lord, come through on this, Committed to God, your thoughts will be established. God desires that you would pray. It's his delight. It's his delight. We had a daughter, still have her. And this girl, she didn't have any front teeth. All right? She did not want you to help her for the life. Like you wanted to go split spoon in there. She wanted to do it herself. You know what? It's our delight when she asked for help. It was our delight. Our delight. And you know what? God looks the same way. He delights to help us. Look, if you would, Proverbs 15:24. The way of life is what? Above to the wise. Now look, you can take this a lot of ways. Living for Jesus, that is real life. But seeking him, the way of life is above. I got to seek God. I got to give this to God. I got to ask what God thinks about this. The way of life is above to the wise, that he may depart from what? Hell beneath. Hell beneath. Hell beneath. It's the way God does it, right? God desires that you would seek him. God desires that you would come to him, all right? The way of life is above. The way to depart from hell beneath. That all you're doing is thinking about this place. Look, if you would, Psalm 37. First thing, trust in the Lord. Second thing, do good. So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. That's three things right there. If you put your trust in the Lord and you do good, God said, I'll take care of you. Look at verse 4. The third thing, delight yourself also in the Lord. And what will happen? He's going to give you the desires of your heart. Inquire of God, but learn to trust in him and keep on doing good. I'm going to do right. I'm going to do right. And you know what? God said, you'll dwell in the land, you'll be fed. Delight in God. Let it be a joy to you. And God will give you the desires of your heart. Not only will he give you the desire itself, the real desire, but those desires that you have in your heart, he's going to bless. Fourth thing, commit your way. Now, Proverbs 16:3 said, commit your work. This says, commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in him, and he will do what? He'll bring it to pass. I always have confidence in God building his church. Because I know we're going to bring the word. The word's going to go out. We're going to try to lead people to Christ. We're going to get the gospel out. And God, he's going to bless that. We're going to pray for each other. So I know God, it's a matter of time before you just bless. And it's all these verses put together. I'm going to trust in you, Lord. I'm going to do right. I'm going to do good. You'll take care of me. I'm going to delight myself in you. You're going to give me desires. I'm going to commit those things to you. You're going to bring it to pass. Look at, if you would, verse 6. He shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. Rest in the Lord. Rest in him. Fifth thing. Wait patiently for him. Sixth thing. Fret not thyself because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. You're going to see God do it. You know, this is what I call the way to live right here. Trust in the Lord, do right. Delight yourself in God, he'll give you the desires. Commit those things back to God, he brings them to pass. You know what? God takes care of it. When I look at my prayer life, I'm like, okay, Lord, it's been a while since I've been praying this. I'm expecting you to do this, and I see God come through. Right? All the time. Look, God's going to bring things to pass. Look at that last part of that, though. I want to show you this. Look at verse 6. He shall bring forth thy righteousness as what? The light. And thy judgment as what? You know, when you're doing good, and you know you have a clear conscience, you've been doing good. Things happen. People judge you. You know, you're accused of something. You know, God says, just keep doing good. Because he's going to bring your righteousness as the light, and he's going to judge those people. He will. I've seen this verse 1,000 times in my life. I was telling Lewis and Chris as we were driving to Artesia about different jobs and different things that I've done in my life. And sometimes that people didn't like me trying to finish a job early. And sometimes they try to get me fired. And Diane's been a witness of this many times. People that would try to do everything to me, they'd be gone. They get fired, they would smash a truck, they would do something. I was like, Lord, thank you very much. I don't have to do anything. Just keep doing right. Keep doing right. And God, he's like, okay, I'll take care of all this. Vengeance is his, not mine. Just keep doing right. You know, and you'll see that. I really wanted to get you across to look at God delights in your prayer life. Also, commit your work to God. He'll establish your thoughts. Get that. Get those two things. And I guarantee your life will change. Well, it's good to see each one of you tonight. Thanks for coming out. Let's take this time. Let's break into our prayer groups. And we'll do that. Good to see you, Diane. Bye-bye.